The EarSauce podcast.
Boom, boom. Yeah, so this week was banging for new music. We had a lot of artists drop. Just going through some of the artists that I listened to this week. We had Dizzee drop, KYZE, Omarion, Ariana, Wizkid, Busta Rhymes. Yeah, so lots of, and I'm forgetting a few artists as well. We had like Trippie Redd, Sam Smith. Obviously, there's only enough hours in the day. Were there any albums that you guys were really keen for before we get into our reviews? That Frisco album was phenomenal, but it was definitely like a really strong effort from Dizzee. And compared to his peers, so recently we've had drops from D Double, and we've also had drops from Frisco. I would put Dizzee Rascal's album effort probably in the mid-range. I don't think it hit the heights of a Frisco for me.
I was excited for Busta. I'm a Busta fan, but I say that loosely because I never really listened to his albums in their entirety. So, yeah, I was just excited for Busta.
Was this like the first album that you've listened to in its entirety?
Probably the fourth one. He's got 10 albums. I haven't listened to all of them. I bought a few of them, actually, in this.
Honestly, this week I wasn't really that excited for any of them. None of them were gassing me up, to be honest with you. Like, it's not because of the artists either. I just like, some artists are like, artists, the album's going to be good. Like, if J. Cole's dropping, the album's going to be good. But although I think Busta Rhymes is a great rapper, probably one of the greatest of all time, I don't think that his albums necessarily bang, so I wasn't like that excited to hear the album, if that makes sense. However, with that being said, I did purposely ignore the singles as much as possible because I wanted to hear them in the context of the album. So yeah, maybe I was excited.
That's the way to do it, man. It's the way to do it.
I feel like I had to do it this time as well because I listened to I'll get into it with the review, but yeah I listened to the single with Anderson .Paak. I was at You, and I was not feeling it at all. So, yeah, I was like, I'm not listening to any more once I heard that.
That I enjoyed his clever lyrical wordplay on songs like Don't Be Dumb. Like, that back and forth was amazing with him, and I believe the artist's name is Ocean Wisdom.
Yeah.
I thought that was like clever. It kind of felt like the older generation talking to the younger generation and having that back and forth. So my standout song, or shout-out song, sorry, I should say, was Don't Be Dumb. And I definitely think it's free. Oh, sorry, we'll do our ratings later. What do you guys think?
I can echo most of what you're saying there, to be honest with you.
Cool.
I feel like I feel like there might be a debate to be had. I think I kind of had a debate about Dizzee on this pod before, and as you were talking, I was kind of thinking to myself, and I don't want to understate what he's done previously because I do think that he is a pioneer. But is part of Dizzee's legend, if you like, is it partly to do with the fact that he was the first one from that grime scene to really bust? And I do wonder if that is part of it because when I look at it, you got people like, okay, obviously Wiley, you got people like Kano, dare I say Skepta as well, that came around the same. They were out there at the same time as Dizzee was on the underground, but they didn't make that same jump over to pop stardom at the same time as Dizzee. They were later, but when you look at the music they make, the way that their careers have developed, the way that their skill set has improved over the years, they have far exceeded Dizzee Rascal. Yeah. Dizzee Rascal was still making music like I'm back in secondary school. Like I don't know what's going on. I think I tweeted out the other day. It's like it's GCSE music. and it sounds rude, and the thing is, that basic music can be good music, right? It can be, and it can be entertaining. But I'm expecting like his stage of his career, I'm expecting him to be a more developed MC than he is. Because let's give you an example, like DWE, his sound is still pretty much the same as what he made like 10, 20 years ago. However, his rhymes, his raps are actually better. He's developed as an artist. You can hear that in him. People like Kano has just gone clear. Retry 2 has gone clear. Skepta as well. Skepta's ability to rap now is well beyond what it was 10, 20 years ago.
Yeah, because he was a DJ back then, isn't it?
Yeah, but he was still okay. It's true, but then if you look at it, I feel like Dizzy's an MC back then. It's just he just hasn't developed this way. I say it's like I listened to this, I'm thinking to myself, you want to just repackage it as Boy in the Corner, but it's a lesser version of that. It's not a better album than he did when he first came out.
But then, with that like argument, right? The holes that I'll poke at that is, like you're right. D-Double's probably given us like the same sound in his album, but we respect him as a grime legend, right? I feel like Dizzee has given us a mix of sounds, and what's different in this album compared to, let's say, his previous effort, Rascal, is he's brought on like a lot of that new talent, and he's like rapping for fun with them. You know what I mean? Like I know I'm using "Don't Be Dumb" as an example way too much, but like that was a great example of like his lyrical ability. Like, I'm not saying it's the strongest, but it's definitely there.
Okay, but then if you're gonna use "Don't Be Dumb" as an example of his lyrical ability, then his lyrical ability doesn't even come close to any of his peers that were around at the same time that he bust. That's the point I'm making to you. So it's like, how good is Dizzee really? Like back then, he was making some amazing songs whereby the sound is so fresh, and as a young man, speaking the way he was, it was acceptable because obviously you're not expecting that much. And I think even as people, we expected less from grime artists back then. Like, let's put it this way,
yeah.
Back then, I would never compare a UK rapper to an American one, because I just thought to myself, there was no comparison. The American ones were far beyond what was happening in the UK. The UK rappers were, as you said, they were like DJs, they were like MCs. They were like just trying to get a party started sort of thing. There was no complexities to the rhymes. Nowadays, there are plenty of UK rappers that stand up to their American counterparts. So this is what I mean when I say Dizzee just seems like a relic, if you like, compared to what's come after him. And I think maybe, I don't know what it is, but maybe with him I don't feel that same level of nostalgia that I would feel for someone like DWE. But then, like I said already, I feel like D-Double has progressed. I don't see it in Dizzee.
I don't know. So, just I know we're talking a bit much around this, and Ollie's you're next up. But like with Dizzee though, like Dizzee was the first grime artist to can have a consistent presence on the chart and on the radio. That's my take on Dizzee. Right?
I need to dispute that one because I feel like although his first album did well and the second one had a fair amount of grime on there, so I'll give you that part of it. But by the time he got to his third album, he wasn't a grime artist anymore. He was a pop artist. So I can't give him that accolade, if you like, because to me he was no longer a grime artist. He was a pop artist.
But that's where he came from, grime, isn't it? So like he was the reason why he's a legend is because of his consistent presence on like the charts. Really, like all of those artists you've named, like they haven't been like consistent like Dizzee has over the last 10 years.
Yeah, I said that Dizzee was the first one to bust. Okay, but I feel like that's what he gets his legend from. Because I feel like at the time, Dizzee was considered a great MC, and I agreed that at the time he deserved that status. But that's what I'm saying. That the game's changed, the levels have been upped, and he's nowhere near that. So
I think for Dizzee, right, like in America, they have like an adult contemporary hip hop space, right? We don't have that in the UK. Like, we have adult
I feel like we do.
pandering
Kano.
Okay, Kano might be, but we don't. It's not the norm, is it? Like you don't have like a Black Thought release an adult contemporary in the UK, unless you guys can name me a version of that. So
I thought there's a couple artists I like that effect.
With adult contemporary hip hop. Okay, give me popular ones then.
Wretch, Kano, and Gets, I'd say.
Yeah, and there's all Dizzee Spears. So I don't get it. That's what I'm saying. I understand there's not really loads because at the time,
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but my point is that even Skepta, like Skepta has got songs where he's talking from a more mature angle as well. But even like that song "Bullet from a Gun," yeah, that song speaks a lot of things from a more mature perspective because he's grown up. Even so, he's still on his grease or whatever. He still has moments where he's talking about things from a more mature perspective. And the thing is, there's songs on this Dizzee Rascal album where he's talking from a more mature perspective. Just that he rhymes isn't. That's what I'm saying. That's all. That's my only real criticism. I don't think the music's even that bad. It just seems basic, and I feel like I expect more from someone that's considered a legend. That's all it is.
Mm-hmm. So, how are you rating this album? Like.
Wait, Ollie, your turn first, man. Your turn first.
Okay. So I kind of disagree when Matt talks about growth, especially when he compares him to Skepta. So the other day, and do you know what? I wouldn't have disagreed unless I heard this song the other day. I was driving and his Doing It Again album came onto my playlist for some reason, and Big came on, the track with Chip, and I was listening and I played it back like 3 times, and I felt Skepta has not made a track to this day that goes to that sort of depth that track displayed. I don't know if anybody remembers that track.
I'm talking about
No. I know you're not talking about depth, but there's depth and there's also lyrical growth on that one track, and he's not come close to doing anything of that stature.
So why didn't Dizzee do this on this album then?
I was talking about Skepta.
Oh, sorry.
I was saying Skepta hasn't touched what he done on that track, Big. I don't know if anybody remembers it, but it's something you might want to listen to, and then we can revisit this another time. But I do feel like Dizzy's demonstrated growth. And I don't really feel like you can sort of dispute that either.
Yeah, I agree with you, Ollie. I definitely agree. Like, his track where he announced that, I think he said he's expecting a baby girl, that was quite a touching moment in the album.
Yeah,
so,
that's the last track as well.
Yeah.
And I also feel like if you look at the track, I think there's East Side and there's another one. That's Too Much. I don't think on That's Too Much he's getting like out rapped by D-Double or Frisco. I think what people struggle with is that Dizzee still has an unorthodox flow, and his voice can be a bit jarring sometimes. But I think lyrically, there's only 2 tracks where he gets shown up, and that's the one with Chip and the one with Gets and Kano. But other than that, he's either level or he's doing better than his features.
Right.
That's just my opinion, though.
What did you think on Don't Be Dumb, though? Did you think I thought Asian Wisdom kind of gave it to him. I'm not gonna lie.
I don't know. It was a good track. But...
One sec, guys. Pull it back again. You said that you feel like on the album he only got spun by D-Double, Frisco, and Chip. Is that what you said?
No, I said Chip and Gets and Kano. He didn't get spun by D-Double or Frisco.
Okay, cool.
And I feel like they both had good verses, but I still feel like there's a couple of tracks where like they just pop Dizzee, and they came as a surprise. They came like in the middle part of the album. I think it's like 2 or 3, and I didn't really appreciate them. I felt the album was going to be a bit more focused, but even then, those pop tracks are infinitely better than Bonkers and Holiday and whatever other nonsense he was putting out in 2009 and 10. Like, I just see a lot of growth here. And if you look at his last album, Rascal, that album was a bit of bubble to goot. Like, I think it had
That album was so bad.
I feel like you're seeing growth as him not making pop music. I don't know. Maybe I just don't see the growth of his lyricism. Like I said, I felt like GCSE rap. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm comparing him to his peers too much, and that's the wrong thing to do.
I think, yeah, if you compare him to Kano, Wretch, and Gets, because Gets was around that time as well, like he's not touching those heights. But if you compare him to like Skepta, Frisco, and D Double, I don't think he.
I don't think he even matches Skepta, to be honest with you.
I definitely think he matches Skepta. I don't think
Skepta highly, and I don't think he's even there.
This is the thing with Skepta though. I feel like he has. I genuinely feel like he actually has GCSE bars. Like they're very basic, very catchy, and they're very easy to follow and understand. But he delivers them in a good way, which just gets you hyped. I don't think.
I feel like if Dizzee Rascal was given an opportunity, he would rap. He would rhyme cat with bat and hat and tat and sat and pat and lat and rap. It's what he would do the whole way through the song.
Yeah, I've never
heard Skepta go to that. Nah, he won't. He won't do that. But yeah, anyway, let's give the ratings this one. I feel we're spending too much time on an album that's bang average.
No, I don't think it's bang average. I think it's a good album. But my standout song for that album had to be the last one. Had to be Incredible. But I did like Eastside as well quite a lot. And God Knows, because I like P-Money. But I'm giving it a 4. I think it's levels.
You think it's a 4?
It's levels with Frisco's. It's more focused on Frisco's as well. I really liked it.
Oh man. I don't think it's a 4, to be honest.
J. Cole, KOD got a 4. And you think it's a 4? Okay.
Yeah, okay, that got a 4. I personally gave that a 5, but if you're giving Frisco a 4, I think this is levels with Frisco.
Frisco's album's a lot better than this, but okay. That's your ratings. Manny, what do you give it?
I'm gonna give it a 3. I thought it was a great average album.
Great average.
I honestly think it's like a 2, but like I think that a 3 with the average of the 3 scores here is fine. So let's give it a 3 years. But really and truly, I was disappointed. I think that it is what it is. Anyway,
alright, cool. Look, I think 3's the fair score. You're absolutely right. In terms of next album, should we go across the pond? Did you guys catch Omarion's The Connection? Connection like,
with the K. K-I.
But it's like kinetic, isn't it? So yeah.
It's the energy.
I did not like that album one bit, man.
Whoa.
So I'll tell you what, I don't know what it is, but I feel like Omarion's having some sort of really zened out renaissance in recent years. Ever since he lost his baby mother to his B2K boy band mate, whatever. And the way he handled that whole situation was just so he just like really nonchalant about it. He didn't care. He was like whatever. And I really, although I know I could never do that myself, I really appreciated the way he dealt with that. And I felt like he got a lot of that earned him a lot of love and support from everyone out there. But at a time when maybe his fame is kind of waning, because he had that song supposed to be with Chris Brown and Janae Aiko a couple years back.
Which is a banger.
Yeah, absolutely. But that was kind of like a full stall in a way, because he made that song and then nothing really came after that. So anyway, this album came out. So I heard one of the songs from it before it was released, actually, and I thought that the song
industry connections, man.
I thought that the song was pretty decent as well. But the song's called Involved. The video for it is quite decent. I was like, oh, okay. I'm looking forward to the album. Let's see what comes of it.
I was really excited for Dizzee. I've been mentioning this on the last few pods. I guess I've been excited because I wanted to see what the album was going to be like, especially with him reaching out to some of the newer artists. And I think Dizzee will probably be a great place to start, to be honest. So I would say with Dizzee, his last album, I was quite disappointed because it really felt generic. It felt a lot like the same old, if that makes sense. Like pop grime, if that makes sense. Yeah. So I feel like this album had elements of everything. It had elements of old school grime. It had elements of his pop grime. It had elements of rap. There was even like the last track he did with Chris Martin was like Dizzee Rascal being introspective, and like I haven't heard introspective Dizzee for a little while. Like I think the most it's probably that Boy in the Corner, maybe. I would also say,
and to be honest with you, the way the album started, it was not how I expected it to be. You got Busy Signal on the first song, and it had I wouldn't even call it an island vibe, but it had a really nice upbeat vibe to it, and that's the thing of Omarion. Omarion can do both upbeat music and like proper slow jams as well. So he's quite I guess he's a rounded R&B artist in that sense. But yeah, I think for the first half of the album, maybe a little bit more than that, it was good. I really enjoyed the song Mutual with Wale. And then it gets to the song...
I agree with you, mate. I agree with you.
It gets to the song B2K Experience, and I just switched off, man. I don't know what that was. It's like at that point he regressed into a 15-year-old, and I don't know what he was doing, man. And he just doesn't recover.
Oh my god!
Like Ghostface Killer's at the end, and even his verse is tainted by how shit that aspect of that part of the album is. You can't recover it.
Not save it.
Oh
just
my
like,
god!
when I heard it,
It's just appalling. It's just appalling. There's no explanation how bad it gets when it's on such a good run. I just don't know how he did that, but yeah. So he should have. This album should have been up there as a good album, but he fucked it.
Definitely did. Look, can I go next? I'm not usually in sync with Matt and his opinions, but I'm not gonna lie. Everything you've just said was exactly how I felt. Like I felt like the Mutual track was the standout song of the album. So initially coming in here, I was tempted to give it a 3, but like just speaking to you guys, I know I'm not crazy. I'm giving it a 2. Like
what?
I feel like
3. Wow.
Yeah, the thing is,
I feel like it should have been a 3. I feel like it should be a 3 because of the fact that a bit more than half the album. It was about 6 tracks there. Okay, no, it's half the album actually. It's only 12 tracks. Half the album's good, but then it has to be a 2 because it's only half the album that's good. You and I is not bad either, but still, it's literally just a bit over 50%. So it's a 2 for me as well.
And I think the reason I'm giving it a 2, I'm thinking about it is because 2 years, by the way, is because like Omarion can do better and should be doing better. He's had quite a long time to put together a good piece of work. So, like, this showed promise, but it wasn't the finished article. So, yeah. And never ever do BTK Experience ever again, please.
Mate, this album is straight Van Gogh, bruv. It's one ear. Like, it's trash, man.
Wow.
It's trash.
Oh. Well, it's already been voted 2 years, so maybe just your opinion.
Can't be saying that.
I'm joking. Okay. I feel like it's a shame though, because that could have easily been a 3. And you know what? Maybe even a 4 if the ending was really, really good. Like a couple of good, like longer, like love songs maybe. The way the beginning of it was, I believe it could have gone that way, but it was so poor at the end that it's gone down to a 2. But the beginning was tracking at a 3, so that's the way I see it. I think that's how Manny sees it too, to be honest.
Yeah, I definitely see it that way.
But yeah, cool. So that's 2 done. What's the third one, Manny?
Boom. And before we get to the third one, let's just highlight our socials. Follow us on Instagram, EarSauce_. Follow us on Twitter, EarSauce_ again. If you're a new artist, send us some of your music. We'll listen to it and put a spotlight right at the end of the pod for you guys. So, yeah, don't be scared to reach out if you're a listener anyway. Drop us a message, say hi. We don't bite. Excellent. Cool. Next album. Did any of you guys listen to KYZE?
Yeah, I did. It was the last one I listened to.
I did, actually.
Cool.
I'm glad I did as well.
Let's go into KYZE then. So KYZE came out with the follow-up to 2 Words, 1 Finger, with 2 Words, 2 Fingers.
Damn, that is a really creative name.
Yo, I'm not from South London, so cuss KYZE at your own bravery. That was Matt talking, but not me, mate. Alright, cool. I thought it was like gangster vibes throughout. I really enjoyed the song where he brought out Hollow Man. His name's not Giggs anymore, it's Hollow Man. Do you guys know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
Cool, yeah. That was a banger. I would say like the production wasn't on point throughout the album.
Really?
I felt like there was a track that ended like really suddenly. Like it just cut off. Maybe it might be the Apple Music copy, but it just literally just cut off randomly.
I thought that the production and the whole way it's put together was quite nice throughout, to be honest.
Yeah, so the songs were put together well. I felt like production could have been better, but the beat selection was okay. And yeah, it just was. It was a solid effort, man. I don't know really what else to say. It wasn't a long project. It was basically like a one theme album, really. So. Yeah. What did you guys think?
I'll let Ollie go first.
Yeah, I didn't know what to expect, and I quite liked it. It wasn't just all guns and violence. There was a bit of variation in there, especially on Low Key Place. That was my standout track as well, by the way. I thought that was really good. But yeah, it's a good listen, to be honest. There's not much bad I can say about it, other than that I think the track is it might be Nights Like These, where it just randomly cuts off at the end on Apple Music. But yeah, it was a good listen. I was taken aback by it. I thought it was good.
Yeah, so for me, I don't really listen to KYZE, so I know what sort of music he makes, but I don't really listen to it. But I actually really enjoyed the album. I thought like it was kind of, for the most part, one track minded, but it was solid. His raps were all good, the features were all good, or even the features elevated the songs at times as well in the whip for the next few weeks and months. So yeah. So yeah, it was a really solid project for me. My favourite song though was definitely Bonus Ball with Suspect. That song really went. I loved it. It went in.
Yeah.
It's the longest track on the album actually, I think, but the length didn't even matter. But even so, most of the songs on this album were quite short. It didn't feel like they needed to be longer or that they were too short. It didn't feel like you were just trying to get spins. It felt like what the song was trying to accomplish, it had done. So yeah, I really just enjoyed the album, and I probably will be spinning it. The first track, MadeinTYO, it really sets the pace for the whole album. I really actually quite like the way that Gets raps on this album. Gets has got a couple of different modes that he raps in. One where he talks kind of and a bit slower, like he's almost like he's on a job. If you like, he's on a bit.
It kind of feels like you know when you're a kid and you do something wrong, and then your parent gets on their knees so they can like get to eye level, and they just try and talk to you calmly.
kind of feel like the flow kind of goes like it has
Right,
that kind of flow.
But yeah, my point is that he does that flow on the track, and it brings it up, and it brings up the track to another level. Like KYZE, like without any disrespect, he was saying himself probably he's not level with someone. I guess he hasn't got that same ability to switch up his repertoire at any given moment. But he knows what he's good at, and he managed to bring on people to supplement that on his album, and it worked really well.
And I felt like I can really pinpoint where this album went downhill. It was after that connection interlude. After that, it started to just get really hit and miss. And then that B2K experience, like, what the hell was that about? Like,
he had a massive brain fart in the studio. That's going to be the only explanation for it. Because it makes no sense. It makes no sense with the album. Why did we do that?
It doesn't. It was so weird.
I can't explain. I can't. Like, if you wanted to do that, what you should have done, you should have just done an A and B sides album.
Yeah.
Because then you'd be like, okay, A side's lit, B side's trash, just like over listening to it. But yeah, I don't know, man.
I've got one more song to pick on though. You and I. Did you listen to that?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah, but the one thing I didn't get about You and I, did he kept saying like talking about anal on that song? Because that's what it sounded like to me.
Whoa.
I'm not gonna lie. Listen to that song again.
Slow it down.
Listen to that song again. Like I don't know if it's
I'm going through a track. I'm going through the flipping lyrics right now, man.
What does it say?
Right now, I'm just loading it up.
Okay, I'll let you load it up. But it just sounded like seriously weird. I'm not sure if it's because of the accent differences, but that's what that kind of weirded me out. I was like, okay.
I think that song had potential, by the way, but I didn't like it either. But it could have been better.
It could have definitely been better. T-Pain couldn't save him after that, and Ghostface couldn't save him. So yeah, it was good up until that point, which was unfortunate because that was probably 25% of the album. So for me, it kind of spoiled it a little bit. Ollie, what are you thinking?
I didn't like that album at all, to be fair. I think there was a few good tracks. Mutual again was a standout. I liked Involved, and Goddess was decent. That's about it. There's it just felt very generic. Yeah, I felt like it was generic. Didn't really showcase his vocals.
I don't think the beginning of the album felt generic. And that's what I liked about it. It felt kind of like, I'm not going to say neo soul, but it sounded like a fresh R&B sound.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that. But then towards the end, it just became a pile of trash. So, yeah.
Nah, it just wasn't for me, man. I think there was 3 good tracks I liked. Goddess, Mutual, and Involved. In it,
to be fair, though,
then it was just a meh album.
Yeah, and then to be fair, you thought Dizzee Rascal's album was a 4, so it does make sense.
Let it go, bruv. Dizzee Rascal. You're Dizzee Rascal.
Let's give this album some ratings. Let's give it some ratings. What are you giving it, Ollie?
No, I want to hear what you give it first.
Okay, what are you giving it, Ollie? I mean, to you, Manny.
Ollie, have you gone?
Yeah, man. I was short. I didn't really have much bad to say. Really, it was good.
Cool, man. This is definitely a strong 3 from me.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, same here. I think it was 3. I feel like with a little bit more polish, I don't know what it needed, but a little bit more something, it could have been a 4 possibly, but it's just really a 3. But it's showing potential from him for sure. And I feel like going forward, when he does 3 words or 2 words in 3 figures, I'm expecting big things.
Ollie, what was your rating?
3. Same as you.
So, although I really think this album is a good album, I just think that she's got probably a level or 2 that she could go up and make a proper classic album.
But the last song, Point of View, damn, That girl can sing. Like it is. I was so surprised. I actually played the album twice, back to back. It was really good. I was so wrong, and I hate being wrong, but I was so wrong about Ariana Grande. I'm not gonna go and listen to her back catalogue, but I will listen to anything else she brings out.
Ariana has old albums. Yeah, generally speaking, I wouldn't say that Ariana Grande albums are albums that actually need to be listened to, as in the sense that the actual whole thing. But she has bangers in probably each one of her albums. I'd say like one or two in there, especially the way she collaborates with a rapper. It tends to be pretty good.
I can believe that. Oh yeah. It's a Point of View is my standout song, but there are some honorable mentions. The track with Ty Dolla $ign, I forgot his name. Positions is a good track.
Safety Net is the one with Ty Dolla $ign.
Yeah, Safety Net. Positions is a good track. Actually, that's a really good track.
What about the one with
Nasty's good and My Hair's good. Doja Cat, Motive. I don't like Doja Cat, and I felt like the song had potential. Like it could have gone good, but then it just doesn't flow right to me. So that was like
off the table. The weekend.
Do you know what? Yeah, actually, it's good you brought it up because I want to talk about this. For the longest, you've been saying about how The Weeknd makes music that makes you want to jump out of a building. The moment you started singing, I mean, it was a good duet. But the moment you started singing, I was just like, this guy, like, what's wrong with him? Like, I was so happy. I was so happy, yeah. Just like Magic was on, it's a decent track. I was still a bit feeling 35 plus 34 plus 35, whatever it is. Motive was a bit, but then Off the Table comes on, and this guy's dropping some really depressive bars. Like, I was driving, and I had the urge to swerve top speed into oncoming traffic and just end it. Wow. This guy's dangerous, man. This guy is.
I told you, The Weeknd is dangerous.
Did any of you guys feel the same way? Like he completely killed the vibe.
I feel like he killed the vibe.
I enjoyed it. I'm not gonna lie, I enjoyed The Weeknd. So I don't know.
I feel like Ariana kept me hanging in there, man.
Yeah, no, she really did. But yeah, like straight after, like it's not a bad song. It's just it killed the vibe. Like it was so depressing. I feel like if you're going for a hard time, just ignore that song and maybe listen to Safety Net or Positions or My Hair. But yeah, or West Side's good. But yeah, basically after that track with The Weeknd, every other track slaps. Some slap more.
Yeah.
Some slap less, but they all slap.
I agree.
Some slap with an exclamation mark and a capital SLAP, and some just slap. But sick album.
Slappings all the way. Slapping.
Yes, it's just.
I feel like
it slaps.
I feel like Ollie with the slap a little something. But
I'm not engaging in the throwaway comments you're making, man.
Wow.
Not engaging. Go get your fix somewhere else, man.
I might just go on Instagram later and get that fix. Anyway, Manny, what are you saying?
Yes. Okay, so I really enjoyed this album. It was like she has a really nice voice, nice vocal range. Like you just know, like one of the negatives that people often talk about is how polished she is and how like manufactured she is. But like, if I don't really think that she's as manufactured as people think. I think maybe within her circle, she just has like really great writers. Like, in fact, I know within her circle she does. There's that up and coming artist, Victoria Monet. That's gained a lot of.
Victoria Monet's up and coming. She's been on for ages, bro.
She definitely has. She's but I mean, like, it feels like this year she's been on like the newcomers up and coming list, like.
Okay.
And she writes a lot on this album.
For those that don't know, yeah, she definitely does. And like,
I think there's like 5 tracks she writes on.
Really?
Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah.
Yeah, and I kind of feel like having that kind of having your friends around you that are as talented, and Understand You really helps with regards to her coming across the way she does on this song. I mean, on this album, because a lot of the songs play to her strength, right? And she's very hip hop leaning in comparison to, let's say, her prior album, which had next to no features, right? Whereas this is very like hip hop leaning. I think she reached out to even like Murder Beats to like produce one of the tracks as well. So yeah, like it was smooth, it was polished, and it was a bit of hip hop, bit of R&B, bit of pop. Like it was just a nice album to listen to. So yeah, I enjoyed it. Should we do ratings?
Oh wait, no. Matt has to do what he does.
Hold on,
I thought Matt was on the socks, so I didn't want to
I haven't said anything yet, but before I start, let me just clean up. We had a bit of a mess here.
You know it, mate.
Okay, yeah, being serious now. First of all, I still wanted to comment on the track names. There's 14 tracks on the album. The first track's called Shut Up. The second one's called 34 plus 35. I'm not very good at maths, but I think it adds 69. So, yeah, that's one. Motive, Just Like Magic, Off the Table, 630. That's, again, if you know what that is, that was a dance as well a couple of years back, 630.
Yeah.
Safety Net, My Hair, Nasty, Love Language, Positions, Obvious, and POV. Those are all. Most of those names basically they're obviously referring straight directly to sex, right? And it's quite interesting. I quite like it when albums do this sort of thing where the names of the tracks relate back to a theme for the album. So straight away when I saw that, I was like, okay, that's cool. Because when I saw the album title Positions, I didn't really think anything of it. Because although Ariana Grande is music can sometimes be a bit more raunchy than her public persona would make her out to be, it's never so obvious. It would be usually like an innuendo in the music or something like that. So seeing the track names making it so obvious was like interesting. Listening to the songs, I thought all the songs were pretty good. I didn't think the songs were amazing, to be honest with you. But there's something about Ariana which makes me think that at some point she's going to level up into becoming a better artist. And I think the key to this happening is going to be her working directly with an executive producer that is just sick. And when I say this, like I've said this to people for a while. I'm not sure if I said it to you guys directly, but I see Ariana Grande as like a baby version of Mariah Carey. Her voice is on a very similar level to Mariah's. I'm not going to say it's better or even the same level, because Mariah Carey's voice is just out there, and it's crazy. But Mariah Carey's best music has always come when she's worked with like one executive producer and they just collaborated and made amazing music. I think that when you are a singer, I feel like it's less about your ability to write than it is to collaborate with the right people, if that makes sense. Obviously, a rapper can't just go collaborate with a great ghostwriter because that takes away his credibility. But as a singer, I don't think it really matters.
That being said, I think it's the only Afrobeats album that I've listened to in its entirety. I think there are some tracks that aren't extremely Afrobeat heavy, like Blessed, Smile, and Piece of Me. Funnily enough, they all come one after another.
Like some of the ones that Mariah Carey's made. I would like to see that one day.
Yeah.
Because her voice is actually beautiful. It was really nice.
It is.
I agree.
So
I agree.
I give the album, for me, the album's a 3. But it's an enjoyable listen. But I think to myself, if I'm comparing it to other R&B artists' albums that I've liked over the years, it's not quite levels of it. So, yeah.
Right. This is where I'll probably argue that. What did we give Trey Songz?
I think they got a 3. but I don't think I think I would to give that a 2 or something like that. So
nah, fair.
Yeah.
Using that for me, I'll probably say this is a 4. To be honest, like it was a really nice, easy listen to album, and like I did feel like it had replay value. So for me, it's a 4. It's
I agree.
above average.
I agree.
Like it makes sense because
I feel like I need to go over the definition of the ratings again. 5 is a masterpiece. 4 is an excellent project. 3 is good work. 2 is below standard, and 1 is poor effort. So you're saying it's a nice, easy listen. That's not the same as an excellent project. But
and for me, let me explain. And like, it's an easy listen. Like, there's no like because it should be an easy listen to. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's music where there's like a bop. Like, there's beats where you can dance in. There's like songs that you expect to be played in a club. But equally, like she doesn't miss. Is what I'm saying. On this, I don't feel like she misses. That's why I think this is an excellent project, and it should be because of the amount that's invested into Ariana Grande. So, like, that makes sense to me.
I don't think the amount that's invested into it is relevant, really. But
but I mean, it makes sense. Do you know what I mean? Based on like who she is, like the record label's gonna throw the bank on an album like this. That's why it sounds as great as it does.
Okay.
Who's next?
It's a 4 for me as well, to be fair. I felt like I was going to be the only one giving that a 4, but...
No, mate. I'm with you.
No, you're the only moist one in the group, Ollie.
I'm not. Listen, you're the other one getting moist over this job, bro.
I'm not getting moist over this. Kenny, I said it's a 3, but anyway.
Wait, that's what I don't understand. How you gonna like get the sock out to a free album, man? Come on, mate.
Look here. Ariana Grande, right? Has got. There's a thing about Ariana Grande, like. We were talking about this earlier on, people saying that she looks really young. And you know what, there is truth in that. She does look young. She's got a baby face, etc. I agree with that. But when I've seen her like in videos or stuff like that, she's got like there's a thing about her that is quite seductive. It's the way that she behaves. It's a bit like how Rihanna has a way of behaving where she's actually mad seductive, even so Rihanna is maybe not as pretty as some of her peers. So Ariana has that sort of thing. So I'm referring more to that than the music. The music itself wasn't really saying anything that crazy in terms of like, trying to bed her or something like that. It wasn't that, but I guess that's how maybe you guys felt about it. But anyway, let's go to the next album.
Let's do it. What are we looking at next? Do you guys want to hit Wizkid or Busta Rhymes?
I want to say Busta till last.
All right, let's go to Lagos. So Wizkid came out this week with Maiden Lagos. Ollie, do you want to take us through your thoughts on it?
I am not a Wizkid fan.
Right. Hater.
I am not a fan of Afrobeats.
Sipping on haterade.
And I bathe in it, mate. I bathe in it. And I just find these things like a really hard listen. I find them all very samey. But I appreciate that there is a market for it. I also appreciate that he wrote, I think, all of the tracks.
Brilliant. Okay, cool. Unanimous. We are unanimous. I feel like on the podcast.
Wait. One second.
Quite aligned.
Sorry, I need to discuss this a bit further.
Yeah, go on.
Ollie, you think that this is the same level as Dizzee's album?
I said Dizzee's a 4, bro.
Oh my lord! So,
I said it's a 4, and Dizzee's is better than this.
Okay. Go ahead, Manny. What's next?
Look, with this
wait, Manny. Which is better? This album or Dizzee's?
Dizzee's.
There we go.
But
Remember where
it's not.
Remember where Manny's from, where Dizzy's from, okay? Just remember that.
Wait, hold on. The reason
You hate
why.
Dizzee, bruv. You hate Dizzee, so...
Yeah.
I don't hate Dizzy. Why do I hate Dizzy? I've got no hate for him. When else? Yeah, you're forgetting that Dizzy did the soundtrack from my childhood, so you're forgetting this. Like
Listen, you 2 podcasts ago, you was cussing out Dizzee.
I still live by the whole mantra. I don't lick pussy. I'm not a bull cat. I don't like the smell. That's me. That's like I'm also get that tattooed on me, bro. So I don't hate Dizzee. It's just that he's not that good anymore. It's like, there's something wrong with that.
Nah, you hate Dizzee because he sold out. But it's okay. You're entitled.
It's alright.
I don't respect him the way that I respect someone like Kano. I don't. It's a simple thing. Kano never sold out. And he did some songs that were like more pop related, like Brown Eyes, stuff like that. But he still managed to make it sound more authentic than fucking Dizzee Rascal.
Brown Eyes isn't pop. Brown Eyes is a hood love song, bruv. That's pop.
Yeah, he had other songs as well, like Songs of the Streets, where he does verse. He's got songs where you say that it was borderline, if you like. But there's no way that you're gonna ever tell me that he sold out like Dizzee did. So yeah. So if anything, you just confirm what I said anyway.
No, I never said Kano sold out.
I know. That's my point. I'm saying to you. I said Kano didn't sell out like Dizzee did.
Look, we can all agree to disagree because Dizzee is a controversial.
That's all we do with this podcast.
That's why you guys love us.
It might have to be on the slogan. The EarSauce podcast. Agree to disagree.
Imagine. Moving on. Let's go back across the Atlantic because obviously it's election day today. Who do you think is going to win? By the way, guys.
Trump. There's going to be a clerical error.
Really?
And even if he doesn't win, he's going to go do some fuckery so that he doesn't leave office.
You think he's actually going to get proper?
And it won't happen.
So what did you think of Little Pump? There was a clip going around. There was Little Pump.
What, Little Pimp?
I don't think anything of him.
Little Pimp. Yeah.
Little Pump. You know what Little Pump is, right? Little Pump is like just that any person. He's like Ferdy. You remember Ferdy? And he had that song after that whole thing with the bike crash. You can't see me. You fucking blind. Whatever. All that sort of shit. Right? And he had his little 50 minutes of fame. Now, Lil Pump had a couple more tracks than just the one. But the biggest one was Gucci Gang, right? And since then, he's done nothing. I don't even know why he's even on the stage. Maybe Trump thought that the guy still has some sort of pull with young voters, but the only people that listen to Lil Pump in this day and age are people that are probably too young to vote in America anyway. So it's kind of pointless.
I actually forgot about him until yesterday.
Yeah,
I don't think anything of him because I didn't expect anything of him in the first place. He's probably just done what he's done for that little bit of relevance he's getting because he's been on all the blogs today and he wouldn't have been otherwise. So there you go.
That was like the equivalent. Lil Pump's appearance at that rally was the equivalent of Trump calling out like an African American. That's my African American. Do you remember that? That's my little pimp. Come over here. So
can we do Ariana Grande next?
Yeah. That's exactly. That was what I was segueing into. That's why I went across the pond. Cool. So
I like a bit of Ariana in my life.
Yeah. All right, Matt. You take us into.
You take it. Don't let me take this one, man.
Wait. No. I'm gonna take point.
It can be a bit naughty if I take it, mate.
I'm gonna take point. I feel like Matt needs to go last. Can
I just say before we go any further though? I feel like before you listen to this album, you should get some Kleenex or some Durex Play or whatever it is you need before you press play. And this one.
Okay. Anyway, for our children listeners, I'm joking. I until recently thought that Ariana Grande was a Disney person. I have never paid any attention to her, other than when she's featured on a couple of hip hop songs. my entire thought of her was that she made tracks for teenagers, like 14-year-old girls. I could not have been more wrong. And she's not a Disney girl as well. But this album was really good. The first track I hated, when I think it's called Shut Up, and I was just thinking, she needs to shut up, man. This is going to be a hard listen. But then straight after that, it just goes from strength to strength. And the second half of the album, after Ty Dolla $ign comes in, whew, that girl can sing. This album is fire. Okay, fire.
I think Ollie lost one of his socks. It sounds like he lost one of his socks.
Do you know what? Yeah, I lost one sock, and the other sock, like my toes are holding on to it right now.
So hold on 1 second. After the sock came off, what did you do with it?
I left it on the floor. I just left it on the floor. Listen, I'm not as perverse as you, yeah. I'm not as perverse as you, but I think what
I don't do nothing with his socks, I don't know what you be doing with your socks.
My name's not you know who in it. My name's not you know who. You know what I'm talking about.
The names whose names shall not be spoken.
The name's been redacted. Anyway,
name asterisk.
He'll know who you're doing. Listen to this, but in case you haven't realized, there's a lot of X-rated content on this album, and it may paint vivid pictures for some. But yeah, it's a really good album. I was a bit upset she didn't really flex her singing ability until the last song. But yeah, I don't really have much to say on the album. It's just, it's not one for me, and where I dislike Afrobeats quite a bit, I can't really give like a non-biased review. But what I will say is that I didn't feel like I had to skip all the tracks, and I enjoyed a few. I enjoyed Long Time with Skepta, Bless, Smile, Piece of Me, and I think that's it. I really hated the last track, Grace. And I didn't really like the first track. But yeah, I can't really say much about the album.
I think that's interesting, like the points you raised. Because listening to this, I didn't feel like it was fully Afrobeats. Like I felt like it was mainly reggae than anything else. Like
that might be why I listened to it all then.
Yeah, there was a way more like reggae vibes than, let's say, an NSG project, you know? Like, I felt like on this album, he was doing something similar to what Burna Boy did in his album that was released this year. Disappointingly, that there was only one of those tracks. So yeah, like it was a good album, but it could have been better because it did feel quite mainstreamy with like a lot of the current R&B songstresses on there, and it was more leaning towards reggae than Afrobeats. So yeah, Matt, what are you thinking?
I took the executive decision not to listen to this album because I don't like beats.
Wow.
This was a compulsory listen, man.
No, it wasn't, because the amount of times we said this to Manny, and Manny's like, oh, I don't like the artist, so I didn't listen to it, so I thought I'd just do the same.
Oh, yeah, cool. No worries. Look, at the end of the day, we have to listen to what we like, and you know what I mean? So, Afrobeats...
I genuinely disagree with that, but I just know with Wizkid I won't like it. I just do not like Afrobeats. So.
I reckon for you, you'd be genuinely surprised. As I mentioned, this is more of a reggae vibe than anything else.
That would piss me off, to be honest with you.
Okay, well, I'm glad you don't have to be pissed off. Look, what rating are you giving it?
I think it's your rating, Manny. Whatever you rated, that's what it's going to be for this one.
No, you
can't decide like me like this.
You just said that your rating's going to be skewed by the fact you don't like Afrobeats, so you've already said that.
Yeah, but it's Afrobeats in its purest form, so I feel like I rate it accordingly.
What do you reckon?
I'm gonna give it a 2, but my standout track is one with Damian Marley, because I actually like that song. That was actually quite
Yeah,
Demi Marley felt valued.
It's definitely not a 2. Like, it wasn't that bad. It was actually good. So I wanted to actually come in and give it a 4. So, but I'm not.
Listen, if you want to give it a 4, give it.
You know, I'll score it a 4 as well, man. Fuck it.
No, it's not. But it's not. It's not a 4.
Why not? You said it's a 4.
No, I wanted to.
Wait, Manny, I got one question. Which album did you prefer, Wizkid or Dizzee?
Ooh, Dizzee over Wizkid.
Wow. So if you feel like Wizkid's a 4,
I'm not saying it is. Hold on. You guys didn't even let me finish. God damn, man. I wanted to give it a 4, but it's not. It's a 3. Like, that was the expectation I had before listening. Because, as I mentioned earlier, there was only like one like real banger on there that I really enjoyed and like had loads of replay value, which was No Stress. So yeah, it's a 3, a solid 3 at that.
Okay, fair enough.
Cool. And Ollie's giving it a 2, so we're fucked. But because Matt didn't listen to it and I love Afrobeats, I'm going to give it a 3. Yeah, everyone happy?
That's fair. I'll bump mine up to a 3 as well.
Okay, cheers, mate. Cheers. Democracy. Right. He was trying to make it a bit more mainstream. And, like, I don't know if he did that well enough, to be honest. I really did enjoy this album, I would say. Like, it was great. It was a great effort. But I don't know if it was an excellent project in my eyes because it was only like knowing Wizkid that I've listened to in the past can probably have like an album full of bangers. There was only like one banger that I really identified, which was No Stress. Like for me, that was like the best song I've heard like all week. That was the banger. But what you guys give it to? What was your thoughts on Emma Huncho? And is it young Nate?
Nafe Smallz, I think.
Nafe Smallz, yeah. What was your thoughts?
I thought that the album started off pretty well, to be honest with you, and I was kind of getting into a groove of like liking some of the songs. So maybe about 3 or 4 songs in, I was actually enjoying the project, and then it got to a point whereby all the songs just started to sound the same.
It's when Young Ads come on, Cold World at track 6.
And you know what? I think at that point, it just started to sound like a D-Block album. Like, I listened to the D-Block album the other day, and then from that point forward, pretty much until the end, maybe 2 tracks, there's 13 tracks. So probably from track 6 you said, so about track 11, it's just a D-Block album, DB album, sorry. And then it kind of goes back to that sort of vibe they had at the beginning again. But like, it's just, I feel like the album could have been better. I tweeted out earlier on that do artists not realize when they're making a project and all of the songs are sounding really similar? Did they not realize that, or is it a case of they're doing it on purpose? Is that what people are looking for nowadays? I don't know. Personally, I never want to have an album where all the songs just sound like the same thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, my standout song on the album was probably 5 a.m. I actually thought that was a decent song. But yeah, the rest of it was meh.
So I am somewhat in agreement. The album felt very generic and it started to get really tiring to listen to from track 6 onwards. There was just nothing there. It was just a sigh. My standout track was Changed, although I did like 5 a.m. And like you, I do feel like it started off quite decent. But it just need to go back to the drawing board. I just didn't see anything other than those couple of tracks, anything worthwhile. So yeah, I wasn't impressed.
What rating did you give it?
2.
Yeah, that's about the same for me.
Yeah, I feel so deflated just reviewing this album.
Okay, let's get the levels up there. Let's go Busta Rhymes. Let's go.
Ooh,
let's before we go into Busta though, like, are there any other albums that you guys skimmed across? Or any
Let me quickly look. I didn't listen to it, but Outkast actually released a deluxe version of Stankonia. So I need to go back and listen to that at some point. I never had a chance to do it. And also, Fabulous and Jadakiss made a little EP for Halloween, Return to Elm Street. They did it's like a Freddy vs. Jason one, what they did a few years ago. Right. So that's like a part 2 to that, if you like. MadeinTYO made an album called Never Forgotten. And MadeinTYO is a weird artist because he is someone that I see featured on a lot of the artists that I like in America. He features like of Chance, he features with Smino and other artists like that sort of generation. And I really like Smino, for example. I used to really like Chance's music as well, but I think he's kind of gone off the boil a bit. Yeah. But, I don't get it. This guy seems to be respected a lot in the industry, and people seemingly reach out to him for features, but I don't think his own music is even that good. But anyway, I listened to his album. It was alright. It was decent. There's a couple of good tracks on there, like Sports Center and what was that other one called? BT Uncut. But I didn't think that the whole album really banged. It was like a 2 for me, if anything, to be honest with you.
I never got around to listening to the album, but I thought the album artwork was pretty dope.
The artwork is sick. I really like it, and I feel like it tells a story in itself as well. But his music itself isn't that amazing. But I don't think that story is ever conveyed in the music. So it's what I'm talking about. It's like this guy is really deep, but he's not. So I'm wondering maybe if he does something else, maybe I don't really know who the artist is that well. So maybe he's like maybe he produces as well. Maybe he's someone that when you're around him, he could be like the catalyst to making better music. I don't know. There's another album that I listened to as well this week, and that was from Queen Naija, and she celebrated her birthday, I think, last week, and she had some outrageous photos taken of her in her birthday outfit, and I was like, ooh. So when her album came out, I was like, let me give it a spin, because I remember she had an EP a couple of years ago, and that was pretty good. The EP was called Queen Naija, so it's self-titled basically. But yeah, her album Misunderstood came out, 18 tracks, and it's decent. It's like an R&B album. She's a singer, so R&B album, and for the most part, I would say it had like a modern / old school feel to it, with a couple of up-tempo tracks. But yeah, it was a pretty decent R&B album. But some of the samples on the album that felt a bit forced. So there's a track on there called Lie to Me with Lil Durk. It's got an old school sample on it from a 90s hip hop track, which is obvious once you listen to it. So go listen to it. But it just seemed a bit forced to me. But the rest of the tracks are decent or good. I don't think I'm going to get around to listening to that one.
I think Trippy deserves a review, to be honest. Let's bring that one into next week's podcast. I'm not sure. I don't think there's going to be. Oh my god!
There's 2 more albums as well. Sorry. Common released A Beautiful Revolution, which is part 1. Part 1 of, I don't know how many parts are going to do to this album, but it's part 1. It's 9 tracks long, and it's very political. It's very BLM. It touches on the whole election that's going on right now. I think that's why it came out when it did. So I'd give this album a 3 ears. Those are the ones I listened to. Did you listen to any, Nanny or Ollie?
I didn't have time to this week, but I'm actually listening to some of the ones you mentioned.
Cool. I think Trippie Redd as well. He dropped an album.
Did anyone get around to that?
I didn't listen to that. I don't listen to Trippie Redd at all. But then saying that, Trippie's a weird one because sometimes I hear him on other people's songs and I like him, but then when I've tried to listen to his own music, I don't like it. So I'll probably get around to listening to it, but it was very low my priority list. And also JoJo released the album as well called December Baby, but it's common. The album is very common. So what you expect from a common album is what you get, and it's just quality production, quality bars, and it's a good listen. But
That's adult contemporary music right there, right?
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with that. That's all good.
Yeah. I just want to go back to that point quickly.
Go.
That's what I meant by like in the UK we don't have like that big a scene of like an adult contemporary hip hop, you know.
Hey, was you when you said that before? Were you talking about Dizzee Rascal? Or?
Yeah,
Dizzee Rascal, right?
I was talking about Dizzee Rascal. It kind of feels like
3-2 makes music like that.
Yeah, but
he does. If anything, Red 3-2's been criticised for making music like that. They say his albums are boring because they don't have enough like party tunes in it and stuff like that. And he switched up in recent years. But before, he had about 2 albums of content, maybe 3, where it's a lot more slower paced and political.
Maybe that just goes to show the scene's maybe not big enough. I don't know. There's something that doesn't add up to where, like, in the US, they can do, like,
I think it's because in the UK, the UK forms of music, so proper, like, grime, drill, whatever, which is for the UK, those sort of styles of music do not promote a laid-back sound. So when you think of all the sorts of music that comes out in not just in England but in Europe as well, you've got like dance music, we had jungle music, we had garage music, we had dubstep, we had all that sort of stuff, right? It's like none of that is like, you know, slow it down, let's talk on things properly. So that's probably why we don't appreciate it so much. Another album that I should have listened to but I didn't is Smoke Boys. They released an album called All the Smoke. It's their last release because they're splitting up as a collective now.
True. Smoke Boys, formerly known as Section Boys.
Yeah, formerly known as Section Boys. So their manager stole the name of the group. Crazy. Before listening to it, like I said, I was avoiding listening to the singles because the one single I did hear, I didn't like it on its own, which was which you just said you thought was great. But yeah, 10 tracks long. I'll definitely listen to that and probably do a review for next week's pod.
Cool. Right. Now, introducing the baddest boss. No, I'm joking. Let's talk about Busta's new album, Extinction Level 2. I know you guys are huge fans of Busta, as am I, so I'm not going to be the one to jump out the gate.
I'll do it.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
Yeah, go for it.
I just want to do a shout out to Chris Rock for doing some amazing voiceovers and lending his amazing vocals as well on one of the tracks at the end. He has a 1-minute verse. But no, this album, if I was to describe it in one word, it would be, I want to go with zany. Busta Rhymes is an extremely talented rapper with what seems like a bottomless pit of flows and themes. And this album, he's just flexing his creativity on all fronts. Beat style, topics, flows, everything. It is the best album that I listened to this week by far. And it is also the best Busta album I've listened to in a while. The last one that I listened to properly several times was Back on My BS, which I think came out in like 2009. This album it's really good. It feels like old school Busta. It's really good. There's a lot to like. There's a lot of samples from some old good tracks, like on Out of My Mind, that has an amazing feature, Bob with DeVoe. It's got, I think they're sampling Poison, which is Bob with DeVoe's song. That's crazy. He's got a track with Old Dirty Bastards. That's crazy. He's got MOP on there. The feature list is it's really good. It's a well chosen feature list. And there's a few surprises as well that I'm not going to go into. Maybe the others will. But there's a couple tracks that I really want to touch on. and those are Best I Can with Rhapsody. Rhapsody is really working her way up to becoming one of my favorite rappers. She always does stellar verses. Her last project that I listened to was really good, and she doesn't disappoint this way. I feel like on this track, she elevates her game purely because she's on the Busta Rhymes track, and it's just a sick track. The theme's good. There's literally nothing you can say that's bad about it. Where I Belong with Mariah Carey is a throwback to another song they done ages ago. You'll probably know what it is when you hear it. Again, it's kind of creative how they do it, and it's just a really, really good track. There was a few tracks that I couldn't get on board with. One of those was Strap Yourself Down. That was just a bit too crazy for me. That was a bit too out there. It was a good beat, but it was just a bit too much. I actually listened to the reloaded version as well, which is 4 extra tracks. It's not worth the listen. There's a couple of good tracks on it. One with Eminem and the first track, I've forgotten its name. But other than that, the other two they're just a bit safe and a bit boring, especially when you compare it to what you've listened to throughout the album. But the track I really want to talk about the most is Look Over Your Shoulder. That follows from the previous track, The Young God Speaks, which is like 40 seconds, and it just sets up this track amazingly. I've never heard Kendrick get spun flow-wise and lyrically at the same time on a track. Busta just blew him out of the water, man.
I agree.
It was phenomenal. Like, I know Busta's mad talented and he's always been able to do this sort of stuff, but Kendrick has become the king of flows, in my opinion. Some might disagree, but he has flows for days.
I disagree.
Really?
Yeah, Drizzy's the king of flows, mate.
Drizzy's the king of flows?
Yeah.
Drizzy's the king of stealing flows. He's good at stealing flows.
What's the difference? Like, I didn't know. Flows it's the same thing, man. Drake he's got international flows. Kendrick ain't got no international flows.
Yeah, he's got international. Do you know what? I'm not even going to get into it. Kendrick for me is like the modern day king of flows. Busta just shows him that, well, I invented this game. Like, you can't come into my den and try and take my crown. He just spazzes all over Kendrick. It's just I don't want to get too into the album to like paint a picture. So I'm just giving like brief overviews because I just really want people to go out there and listen to the album because it's literally just worth the listen. At a time where a lot of albums are kind of like generic, this is the kind of album you need where it's just a creative showcase of one of the best rappers to ever do it.
Agreed.
I think it's paid off in volumes. Even the tracks that aren't that great, like The Purge and Strap Yourself Down, they're hard listens, but if you can get past those, you're in for like a really, really good album. And I think from track 9, maybe, it just goes crazy. And also Mary J. Blige, her singing was amazing on this album. I actually thought that track should be the last track, but then Satanic really brings it back, and I feel that's a good outro. But yeah, it's just there's so many tracks to talk about that are good, and I could be here for ages. But I don't wanna harp on. It's a really good album.
No, it was a good summary.
I can't say anything else I've done. It's like a creative masterpiece. Not as that's a bit strong. It's a masterpiece from a creative standpoint, whereby there's a different theme and flow and everything on every track. No 2 tracks feel the same.
But I think you've pretty much summed up like this album really well. Like, and the points you raised are very valid. The only thing I would say is that I really, really enjoyed the Anderson .Paak collab. I believe the song's called You. Like Anderson .Paak and Busta definitely held a strong vibe together. I really enjoyed the ODB
Yeah.
track too. That was a nice surprise. World Boss rapping from Pen, amazing, amazing. Mariah Carey track, even though you're keeping it a surprise, but I just want to say one thing. Like, I'm gonna spoil it. Like, it's so iconic to have two icons sample themselves. Like, that in itself is hard. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that's just gangster. So, like, mad ratings there. And yeah, the theme around like the world having an existential crisis that's like looming and drawing closer. Yeah, it was quite scary. There was like a strong religious element to this album. Kind of made you want to go to church a little bit. Not gonna lie. And yeah, like it was interesting. It was interesting. Matt, what are your thoughts?
Well, I think that my thoughts are going to be a lot different than you guys, to be honest with you. I feel like...
Here we go.
For context, I want to just put this out there. I think Busta Rhymes is one of the best rappers of all time. All right, and I don't think many people can really even argue with that. He comes on people's songs all the time and just destroys it. He's got a long list of his own hits, whereas even just him by himself with no features. Now, my criticism of Busta Rhymes in general is that he doesn't release great albums. He would do good albums, but they're not. I can't think of any album that Busta Rhymes has made that's flawless. Even if it has got a litany, it's got loads of great songs on there. They really fit together on the album. It's not a good album. So I've had that before with him, and then we get to this album here, Extinction Level Event 2. Also, before listening to it, I was told to look out for the verse from Rhapsody because it's great, and I was also told that the album itself was shit. So I hate when that happens because I hate having other people's opinions cloud my own judgment, like colour my own opinion. I'd rather just go onto a blank canvas. So before I even started listening to it, I saw the first track was 7 minutes long, and I was thinking to myself, "What the hell is this? This is mad." And then I started listening to it, and like basically half of the track is a story being told by Chris Rock. I don't mind like stories being told through an album. In the concept of an album, I think that's quite cool, but I do think it's important for the artist to divide the tracks up from the skits, so that if you just want to hear the song, you can. So, for example, I quite like the intro song. It's actually pretty good. The instrumentals are quite good, and Busta Rhymes' verses are quite good as well. But there's absolutely no way that I'm going to be listening to that regularly. I've got to listen to Chris Rock talking for 3 minutes before I get to that point of the song. That annoyed me. And they've got a song called Poison, which is like if you hear the song, you know the song immediately. And then you had a really, like, Bell Biv DeVoe, right? They've got their old school 90s band. I think that they spawned from New Edition. Listen to the verses, it was that bad. Busta Rhymes samples are on track 5 out of my mind. And I don't understand why he did it in the way he did it, because the sample just sounds awful. It sounds so bad. The same thing with track 4 as well. The one before is like the beat is so bad that I didn't like the verses because I couldn't even. And I felt so for me, like, I felt that the beginning of the album got off to a really tough start, but then it really does improve a lot. It goes up off a few levels. You get to like track 7 with Old Dirty Bastard. That verse he has on there is very good. Q-Tip on Don't Go is good, and these are elite MCs. Q-Tip is someone that's not really talked about much anymore, but back in the 90s he's probably one of the best MCs out, one of the best rappers out, and he hasn't lost any visibility, and this sort of level is maintained through this middle section of the album. And Master Fard Muhammad, Rick Ross has an amazing verse on that with Busta Rhymes, and I feel like I need to talk about Rick Ross, Rhapsody and Scraps. And you're thinking, why Scraps? Why would you include Scraps with them other two? But those 3 rappers have been going around on everybody else's projects recently and dropping verses, and every verse that they put out has been flipping excellent, and their consistency has been great. So they deserve a shout out just for that. But yeah, so
I'm surprised you didn't get any Griselda on this album as well.
Yeah.
Well, it kind of seemed like a no-brainer because he's from New York as well. But yeah, they're not on there, and it would have fit with the sort of maybe not actually because Griselda tend to do a lot of drag raps, and this album wasn't really talking about that sort of stuff. So maybe not. So then, yeah, you get to track 12, and that's where You is on the album with Anderson .Paak, and it fits so well. It sounds so good on the album, and that's why I'm glad that I decided not to listen to any of the other tracks and let my opinion of the album go down before listening to it. I feel like sometimes people don't realise that sometimes when you hear a song by itself, you're hearing it by itself, you don't get the build up to it, if you know what I mean. So it doesn't hit right. I didn't like the song of Vybz Kartel, the Don on the Bus. Like, I thought I would like it. Vybz Kartel is a talented artist. And his output from prison is incredible, really. I don't know how anyone can be putting out music like this. It's so obvious this guy's getting day releases, or he's got a studio in the prison or something. But anyway, that song flopped. I don't know what it is about Busta Rhymes. I know that he's truly Jamaican. I can't remember if he was born in Jamaica or if it's just that his parents are Jamaican or what. But sometimes I feel to myself that he's overdoing it a bit, trying to prove it, and I don't know.
But isn't he from like Queens, which potentially could be like?
There's a lot of Jamaicans there, but it's like the same way. I'm Jamaican. My parents are Jamaican. I've been to Jamaica many times, but I don't walk around every day trying to make sure everybody knows that I'm Jamaican. Like, I mean,
but can you can speak Patois, no?
Yeah, I can. So I'm saying, but it's like I feel like Busta Rhymes went a long time.
Give us a little taste.
I'm good. I think my point is with Busta Rhymes, if he went for a long period of time without ever really putting on the patois or the accent, and then it got to like mid 2000s, and then suddenly every other song, the subject matter of like separated parents, it was trying to co-parent, but the mother being difficult with the dad.
Yeah, that was
an interesting topic and very relevant to many people. However, something I'm very surprised about, regardless of how good Rhapsody's verse is that she came at it from that angle. Her verse is basically saying that from a woman's perspective, she's sorry for being an arsehole towards the dad. Now, I know single mothers. I know what some of their views are on their baby fathers and how their baby fathers are actually arseholes. He's making sure that he dropped a bit in there. So I'm not saying it's dishonest or inauthentic. I'm just saying that sometimes it just seems like he's forcing it a bit. But then saying it's only one track on the album, so it's not even that bad. Ollie touched on it before. Best I Can with Rhapsody is crazy. It's a really good song, and it was very weird, if anything, for me to hear a woman siding with a man's point of view. And I think I probably would have actually enjoyed it more. Maybe it would have been too cliche, but I think I would have probably enjoyed it more if Rhapsody was coming back at Busta Rhymes and I thought sort of, that's your point of view, let me tell you mine and why I think you're an arsehole, rather than saying, oh, you know what, you're right, I should have done all these things, you're a great baby father sort of thing. So that's just my little critique on that. Where I belong with Mariah Carey, although I heard what you said earlier on, Manny, about, it's quite cool having two artists sample their own song, which they made like a decade earlier or something, which was Baby If You Give It To Me.
Oh, now the cat's in the bag.
I didn't like it. I didn't like the song.
Go home.
I didn't like the song. It just seemed to myself like it was nothing more than a flex, and it was forced because it didn't even fit with that part of the album. It didn't fit. So it's like, I don't know why it was put in there. But, if Mariah Carey offers you the opportunity to be on your album, then you probably take it, right? But I just didn't like it. However, the next track, Deep Thought, that was sick. The song with Kendrick Lamar, I thought it was pretty good. They were both spitting excellent bars. Ollie said that he thought Kendrick Lamar got washed on it. I don't know if I completely agree. I think both of them were on top form. But I think Busta Rhymes, Busta Rhymes has got like a really aggressive delivery that he can do sometimes, and I think it makes him outshine pretty much every rapper that he's on the song with when he does that. So maybe it's more about the way he's delivered it than the actual bars themselves. But Kendrick Lamar, Freedom was a cool song stands up strong there. Like, you know me, I'm a Kendrick Lamar fan, but not to the degree that Ollie is. So it's quite rare to hear me defending him here. Mary J. Blige is doing her usual Queen Mary shit. Nothing new there. And the next one you never found enough of me. That's track 20. Blowing the Speakers is rubbish. Who Are You is alright. Hope Your Dreams Come True is alright. Calm Down is actually rubbish.
Those are the reloaded tracks, right? So I thought Blowing Your Speakers was okay. I felt like it was a very generic pop hip hop song. It felt like it's just for singles and like whatever. And the one with Eminem I thought was quite good because it was like a sprinkle of old
From a rapping perspective, it was good, but from a song perspective, it wasn't. Like, again, I feel like that was a technical demonstration from them too, if anything.
Yeah,
but so
I appreciate that.
So I can try to wrap it up here. Is that I felt like the album. There's a way of me describing the album. Before I do it, I want to say that I felt that throughout the album with the skits, it took away from the flow at times because the skits were sometimes too long at the end of songs. That's going back to where I said that, you know, it probably would have been better for this to be like a 35-track album with the skits split out, so you could just skip them if you wanted to, because the songs themselves kind of speak for themselves. They speak for themselves. They don't need to have that long skit at the end to explain what's happening every single time. But I also think to myself that Busta Rhymes was really in his bag throughout the album. Every single verse was fire, almost, right? But I feel like he was so creative and his creative juices were flowing so hard that he just was going off at a time when someone needs to just rein him in a little bit. And say to him, like, that's it, you don't have to keep going now. Just like, come on, that's the next one. But it's like he just kept going at times. And it's like, so there's probably about maybe 5 tracks, if that didn't need to be on the album. They could have been taken off. And the album would have been better for it.
Yeah. I feel like it's ones at the start of the album as well.
Yeah, it's mainly at the start. But like I said, there's a couple at the end as well. So there's the sort of things that could have been changed. But yeah, this is I think probably Busta Rhymes' best album. And I understand what you said, Ollie, when you thought that you said the song Mary J. Blige should have been the last song because it felt like a good finishing point.
Yeah.
But the next song is quite good. But then the song Satanic is rubbish. I don't know why it's even on the album. I don't know how he's managed to do that at this late stage of his career. But yeah,
it's a testament how creative he is.
Yeah, and I think what I need to do is I need to spend the rest of this week and go back and listen to his old albums and see if what I just said there is true. But I think this might be his magnum opus.
And I feel like this should be his last album. I feel like he shouldn't do anything else and just leave this as like.
I don't think Busta Rhymes 50 if you make another album. These guys are. I think this is like another topic altogether. But I think that we need to understand that these rappers, right? They're most of them, the good ones, they're extremely creative people, and if you don't allow them to release, they're gonna probably have issues. So they need to do it. Yeah. They're gonna put out albums into their 50s, into their 60s, into their 70s. Like they're gonna be like Rod Stewart and them, man. They're gonna be going out touring at 80 if they can. That's what they're gonna do, because at the end of the day, it's what they love. And why shouldn't they? Why is it that as a hip hop artist you have to stop at a certain age, but as a rock star you can keep going until you die? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
to be fair, there's actually a market for it as well. So obviously we grew up in Busta Rhymes, so as he's growing, his music's evolving as well, and obviously we're evolving with that. So that same old crowd, he should be able to appeal to them to some degree. Yeah, I look at it like Jay-Z. Jay-Z manages to do that perfectly, whereby he can like stay relevant to the older people. Like the younger people aren't really going to listen to it, but the older people, they're going to lap it up.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. But then that's how it's meant to be. Like at the end of the day, you're aging. As an artist is aging. You yourself as a fan, you're aging. Why would you still want to hear the stuff that you were saying when you was a teenager, when you're 30 something? Like it makes no sense. Like,
Yeah.
So you have to mature as you go along. And I think that's what I was trying to say about Dizzee Rascal. I feel like let's not go back there. My point is that I think that's a great album, and Busta Rhymes should be extremely proud of what he's done. But it's a weird one. It's not. It's not quite a great album because of the issues that I had with it. But it should have been a great album.
But the thing is, I think you have to overlook some of those issues because they're not actually that bad tracks. And I feel like this album is so long and there's so much variation, and he, like, him himself lyrically, he doesn't miss a beat on this album. Lyrically, flow-wise, concept-wise, creativity,
I can
miss a beat.
Though, that's for one. There's too much poor stuff in it, and there's too many tracks that I had to skip because they're just that bad. And I feel like some could have been easily fixed. Like I said, less has been more with this album, but we'll see. What are you guys rating it?
So for me, I think I enjoy this more or less on the same level as T.I., and I gave T.I. a 4. So this is a 4 for me.
I'm with Manny on this one.
Yeah, I think that this could be given a 4. I think a 4 would be deserved, but it's a shame because it could have been a 5.
It really, I feel like if you skip the last 2 tracks, if they weren't on it, at the end of that, You Will Never Find Me, and he didn't put on The Purge, Strap Yourself, or Car, basically.
But equally, I think like he needed to, because it all kind of fits within his like theme of extinction. But had they have, do you know what I mean? Had they have kept like the certain vibes that he had incorporated this album, like with his features and stuff, and maybe moved it onto a different project that didn't have to fit within like.
I just think to myself that it was a case of him overdoing it. That's all it was. Like what he did itself wasn't so bad. He overdid it at times. That's all it was.
Okay,
that's what I think.
So what I read online was that this album was actually recorded between 2009 to 2020.
I can believe that.
Insane.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Because what they're talking about isn't really something that's going to actually necessarily create anyway on half the songs. So it is what it is.
Yeah, I think Look Over Your Shoulder leaked like 2 years ago.
I see. But yeah.
Alright, cool.
Any projects coming up?
Yeah.
Wait. Did we do standout songs?
No, we didn't. Sorry. Satanic was my probably stand-up song. What about you guys?
I want to say Best I
Can. No, I lied. You was my stand-up song. You. Sorry.
I want to say Best I Can. I wanted to give it to Look Over Your Shoulder, but I feel like Best I Can is just a better song.
It was out of 2 songs for me. It was either Deep Thought or Master Fard Muhammad. But I think it's probably Master Fard Muhammad for me. So all 3 of us have picked different songs. So that kind of shows you the strength of the album, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Calm. Okay. I had a look at upcoming albums. Like, it doesn't seem. I think like it's a slow release week. I don't think there's anything unless there's some surprise drops.
Throwbacks.
So yeah, I guess it's an opportunity for us to catch up with some of the music that we didn't get to. So Trippy's probably one of them.
Indeed, we can do that.
We can do some of the ones Matt mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
Definitely have to do Smoke Boys. Has to be done.
Okay, cool. So let's cover the ones that we ain't covered on this pod in next. So stay tuned, guys. So I guess this is the end. Shall we do our socials? So let's do the socials. Follow us at EarSauce _ on Instagram. Follow us EarSauce _ on Twitter. My name's Emmanuel. Follow me Big Manny 90 on Instagram, or Emmanuel90 on Twitter. Who would like to go next?
So you can follow me. Mr. Matt, I'm joking. At Clark _10.
Excellent. That's it. Thanks for joining us, guys. Take care. Bye.
EarSauce.
Yeah, follow me on Twitter at Mr. Matty Lee.